Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, continuing from my previous video, in which we discussed the technical and political aspects, comparing the Russian Sukhoi 57 and the American F 35 as to which one will be the best candidate to qualify as India's fifth generation fighter jet. And oh boy, did the Battle of Bangalore heat up today. It was the first day of the Aero India, and despite of initially pulling out at the final stage, the F-35 did, in the face of mounting pressure and borderline trolling on Indian social media, did pull off some sort of an acrobatic display, but it was totally outclassed, in display at least, by the Russian beast known as the Su-57 Felon. It thundered across the skies of Bangalore. This battle is really heating up. The Russians are firmly in the lead as of now. Today, we are going to explore into what potential packages or threats or opportunities these jets bring along with them. And boy, the information that I stumbled upon while researching for this, I don't know why no Indian channel ever discussed this, especially about the F-35. Why the F-35 maybe shouldn't even considered as a worthy competitor of the Felon, of the Sukhoi 57. Maybe France's fifth generation fighter jet or the South Korean fifth generation fighter jet could have been a second best candidate for India, and why F-35 should not be even considered on the table. That's my firm opinion. But let us deal with the Su-57 first of all. As covered in the previous video, Rosobon Export, the company essentially pushing the production of this particular jet, has declared that they will support localized production in India. With that comes a massive industrial expansion, a lot of interaction with technology, people to people contacts between Indian and Russian engineers, and it will be a massive fuel to the already strong diplomatic relationship that we have with Russia. Now, currently, our foreign exchange reserves stand at $600 billion. It's almost a six-fold increase from what we were back in 2018 when we chose to opt out of this program. We bring a lot of power to the talking table now. We must use this power to gun for jet engine technology and also get the Russians to support our AMCA. In fact, they have expressed interests to support the development of the Indian fifth generation fighter jet. And it means that we are slowly coming onto the same page. You remember in 2018, where we opted out of the Su-57 program, our main concern was that the Russians don't want us to develop our own fifth generation fighter jet. Well, that concern has been nullified now, with the Russians declaring an open support to India's own indigenous fifth generation fighter jet development program. They have conceded our strategic autonomy. They have conceded the aspirations that we have to become major manufacturers and exporters of defense equipments. That is a very positive development if we want to make this project culminate. There is one more opportunity that lies in this. Perhaps India could pump in a huge portion of that $600 billion into financing the Su-75 checkmate. Yes, this is a fifth generation fighter jet that is planned to take its first flight in 2028, but it's struggling due to the scarcity of funds. Russia is counting on us to finance it, and we need to strike when it matters the most. We need to pump in our money into the program. Without a doubt, get local production again, get jet engine technology, get intellectual property rights, and even dictate to who gets access to the technology and who doesn't. Yes, we must definitely go for that. This will cement our relations with Russia for next 30 years at least. So the technical expertise and skill of Russia, coupled with their geopolitical might, and add into that India's financial power and the scale on which we can manufacture these weapons, it will be a match made in heaven. It only depends on the political and diplomatic will of our leaders to see this project through. And by the end of the decade, both China and Pakistan will be nowhere near us when it comes to the air superiority. We just need to have the will to have that superiority, my friends. Now, coming to the F 35, as I said, I'm going to uncover really important details about the American F 35. I don't know why any Indian channel hasn't brought this up as yet. Uh, Potentially, the information that I'm going to reveal, it would amount to saying that the F 35 shouldn't even be considered as a worthy candidate. It shouldn't even be considered on the table where we are planning or comparing between different candidates as to which one should be our fifth generation fighter jet. Well, why do you ask? The F 35 fighter jet, as we know, is America's fifth generation fighter jet. It has a pretty unique design. It's said to be one of the best in the world. However, if you compare it with a less familiar fighter jet, the China's J-20 stealth fighter jet, it looks suspiciously similar, doesn't it, my friends? The design, the front view, back view, bottom view, suspiciously similar, right? The story of this similarity begins way back in 2007. A certain Canadian man of Chinese origin known as Su Bin used to work in the Canadian aviation industry. Little did the Canadians or the Americans know that he is a spy for the People's Liberation Army and the Chinese regime. Yes, he admitted to playing a massive role in the conspiracy of stealing illegally sensitive military data from the United States, and it includes around 65 gigabytes worth of data on the C-17 Globemaster as well as stealth fighter jets of the US, such as the F-35 and the F-22. Which is why the similarities. You know, the design is pretty similar. Even the snout of the aircraft, the nose, is pretty similar between the F-35 and the J-20. Let us dwell into the details. It also has some similarities, by the way, with the F-22 as well. Yes. Now, the Americans are still assessing the scale of the damage that this attack may have caused. Conservative estimates say that the financial loss that caused by this attack is around $100 million. The kind of data that the Chinese got between 2008 to 2014 amounts to at least 6.3 lakh confidential files. Yes, such was the level of breach into one of Americans' top defense manufacturing company, Lockheed Martin. It included around 30,000 hacking incidents in those 6 years. 500 significant intrusions into the Department of Defense systems. 1,600 DoD computers were penetrated. 6 lakh user accounts were compromised. 3 lakh ID passwords were leaked, and 33,000 US Air Force personnel records had been compromised. Around 50 terabytes of data, equivalent to 5 libraries of the Congress, was extracted by the Chinese. It was one of the most slyly and maliciously executed cyber attacks in the history of modern warfare. This leaves any potential buyer of the F-35 at a massive disadvantage. Congressmen, congressmen have admitted that a lot of information did go to the Chinese. People from the intelligence and defense fraternity did admit in front of their government that they failed to protect confidential information. An example of this was Mr. Frank Kendall, who told the summit in 2018, in 2013 rather, I should say, when he was the head of the defense acquisitions chief, that he was not fully confident whether or not he was able to protect this confidential data. I mean, what does that say then? Then the Snowden files, the infamous Snowden files, named after the American defense contractor, Mr. Edward Snowden, that validates all the points that I have been making so far. There are numerous media reports to prove that there was a massive espionage spying attack onto American computer systems, and the J-20 and the J-35, the J-31, all these recently propping up Chinese fighter jets are results of the data that was extracted from these. Where does that leave India then? It could very well be that we would walk into China's trap if we were to buy these F-35 fighter jets. Hence, I feel they should not even be considered as an option. As I said, France or South Korea's fifth generation fighter jet might be the second best contender. It will be a massive blunder if India procures these fighter jets, I believe, my friends. In fact, we could be giving the Chinese exactly what they want. Not just the Chinese, as I mentioned in the previous video, Pakistan will soon gain access to Chinese fifth generation fighter jet technology. So even Pakistan could be aware of the jet we are operating. Do you realize the devastative effects that it can have? Our top fifth generation fighter jet, the potential spearhead of our Air Force, will be basically the Chinese will have each and every insight into that, around 60 to 80%, at least 60% at least with conservative estimates. It will be catastrophic. The Su-57 comparatively is a relative unknown. Only India has had some sort of access to its technology. It's been totally confidential apart from that. In fact, it was not even relevant until a few years ago. So how did it come into the global spotlight within just a couple of years? Well, that is the topic for some another video. I'll leave it right here, my friends. I hope I was able to give you some important insights into the topic. That's why I believe that the Su-57 is very well ahead in the race. In a coming video, we will explore the journey of the Su-57 from being a joint Indo-Russian project to being dumped by India to again coming back into the global spotlight. How the media, technological, social media operations were perfectly executed, and why India is again reconsidering that option. That was all for today, my friends. I'll keep on giving you more important developments from the Aero Show as this event progresses. Goodbye as of now. Jai Hind.